Welcome to another episode of the Online Prosperity Experience podcast. You're about to hear your host, Prosper Taravinga's powerful digital marketing strategies and actionable tactics that you can use right now. Prosper has helped more than 50,000 people from over 10 countries to create meaningful businesses that are profitable and enjoyable. Listen to this podcast so that you too can build your own business with less stress and overwhelm. Let's get started.
The 4 pillars of sales copywriting that converts. If you write well, you will sell big. All right. Now, we're living in an age where email, instant communication is what we are using to attract our customers and boost our sales. What are we doing in order to create content and words that actually help our customers understand what it is that we do and how we actually help them with the problems that they might have? Let me tell you something, man. Great sales copy is indispensable to closing a deal. You might have the right elements, you might have the right information or the right content, and you might have identified the market. But if you don't have the right words or the right text or the right phrases that actually sell, all your work and all your efforts will fall flat on their face, okay? So at the end of the day, let's just take some time to look at if you write really good copy, what it will do to grab your customers and actually shake the sales off of them. Like literally, that's where the low-hanging fruit might be. Because I speak to a lot of coaches, consultants, and small business owners, and they're always saying, oh, I'm putting content out there. Oh, I'm, doing everything that needs to happen. I'm blogging everything, but maybe your words are not actually selling. Because in today's tight marketplace where everybody can string together a blog, can string together a landing page, you need every tool to push yourself to the top. And too many landing pages end up in a pile of junk or in a waste basket simply because they have not been written well in order for them to actually sell. Okay. And in this podcast, I'm going to try and help you figure out these 4 pillars of actually writing sales copy that converts and turning your words into profit. All right. So you would be listening to this podcast just simply because maybe something that I wrote before, or you have downloaded any of our, ebooks or blueprints, and you have gone through some sort of a landing page that warranted you to, start communicating with us. That was actually by design, because the people that we work with, the coaches, consultants, they have untold sleep hours and sleepless nights that they've lost simply because their sales copy has failed to perform. All right. When you get to a certain level where you really want to be converting your leads into customers, there are a few critical elements that you have to keep in mind to really assure you that the stories that you're telling and the marketing that you are putting out there actually stays on track. You need to be turning your words into profit. And you've got the power to do this if you just follow, certain methods in order for you to do and have a business that's profitable and enjoyable. I kid you not. For me, English is not my first language. So I've learned all of this through trial and error. And I can imagine you're thinking to yourself, wait a minute, how can I grow my business? Or how can I be competing with the big players there when I'm just maybe starting out, or I'm just a measly coach or consultant out there? Let me tell you one thing. You need to have copy that converts, because the biggest problem that every coach or consultant that I know has is, as an entrepreneur or whatever you call yourself these days, marketing is not just one of the aspects that you need to run a successful business. You need to be hiring new staff. You need to be putting content out there. You need to be driving growth and more. The way you write, your job descriptions will determine the kind of client. I mean, the kind of team member you draw in, and the kind of ads that you put out there will determine the kind of client that you start working with. And it just feels like a constant balancing act where you're pulled in multiple different directions. And you know what? At the end of your goal, I understand you, man. You're just sitting there and saying, I just want to help my clients. Can they not see what I've got to offer them? And you want to spend as much time as possible changing the lives and solving people's problems. And the last thing you want to be doing is tinkering with your websites or with your sales copy. And you don't want to be wasting countless hours each and every week trying to navigate the complex world of online marketing. And you certainly don't want to spend yet another minute maybe on the phone trying to beg people to hire your services. Unfortunately, you don't have to. You know what I mean? You just need to follow these 4 pillars of sales copywriting that actually converts, and what your landing pages and what your marketing collateral has to do out there. Because if you're a coach, consultant, or a small business person, you've probably written or received a sales letter out there, and maybe you've got a sales letter that is permanently written on your website so that you can convert these customers and persuade people to give you a chance. And let me tell you something. These sales letters, if they're well written, they keep your customers connected to you and buying more from you, because your words are actually helping them convert, and you don't have to consistently repeat yourself every now and again just so you can put your message across. And what good sales copywriting does is it brings back customers who've left, and it encourages them to buy from you again. So if you've got the right words and if you've got the right strategy around your sales pages, you will actually have a business that's profitable and enjoyable. And you've got the power to do this if you just put in the work. All right. So if you want to understand how a sales letter or a sales page actually works, man, if you do it well, you will create a business that's profitable and enjoyable, and you start living the life that you want to live. By the time you probably finish listening to this episode, you'll have an acute understanding of the 4 pillars, of sales copywriting that converts. And you actually start to know and recognize the fatal flaws in some people's work that comes that you come across, and you know how to get the most out of every word that you put out there in your mails or in your emails, and you know how to speak about your content or your expertise in a meaningful and efficient way. Because our customers or target audiences have a 3-second attention span. What are you doing in your copy, first of all, to identify themselves that, yes, you are the right person that they need to be speaking to? What are you doing to justify their failures, to show them that, yes, I understand you, I get you? All of that is done through your copywriting. What are you doing to encourage their dreams? Because if you don't encourage people's dreams, then they're not going to be buying from you, period. So since a lot of our target audience is coming to the internet to get information, and if they are able to get that information from you, then guess what happens? They get to know, like, and trust you. And if you've got sales pages and that are well written, you are literally printing your own money, and you can make more money than all the other doctors or lawyers or any other professionals out there, just simply because you have well written words that take you out of the rat race, and that really separate you from other Me Too people out there, because the ability to persuade via written word, which is what you're about to learn to do, is a skill that is head and shoulders above anything that you'd want to do, and it always will be an in-demand skill, because at the end of the day, people are coming to the internet to get information. So I really want you to grab this system so that you can start writing and maximizing the power of good sales copy that you can literally use to write your own paycheck. Now, there's a few things that are as frustrating as spending a lot of time and effort trying to get your words right and, put it out there, and then people don't convert on it. And the thing that will be missing on those sales pages, or the thing that will be missing on our posts, is the right copy and framework that gets people to actually buy. And if you've got the right copywriting, or if you can't do this for yourself, then you need to pay someone that's able to do it for you. And copy is literally your the one tool that you need to teach yourself to do. I spend an hour a day just to learn how to write good copy. And if you would look at some of the stuff that I put out there, I speak mainly as I write, but the words are actually designed to, strike some sort of emotion, and so that people can actually resonate with what I'm putting out there. All right. And copy does that. Okay. Right out of the gate, you can, it can actually give you the numbers that you need to help your business keep growing without any interruption, because it's always there. If something is written on the internet, it's written in stone. And even if you don't write it on your own, it's critical to understand, that good copy is an inherent structure, and what are the reasons behind having a well-written, landing page, so that you can be able to direct, your marketing person or your ad agency, and you don't become a slave to them, or you being in an awkward position of having to take everyone's word for it, and in the long term, you want to be in the driver's seat to make sure that you are actually getting the right results for the money that you're paying out there. But where do you begin if you've not been trained by a copywriting professional? And how do you know, or how can you tell, that something is well written and is well structured in such a way that it actually converts? Let me tell you something. At the end of the day, you've probably watched a movie, or you've probably watched a, been to the theater and watched a play. There's always a headline. You know what I mean? There's always a lead within the movie, somebody who is running the show, and that's the person you mainly follow throughout that whole 2 hours that you're watching that movie. So at the end of the day, the thing that hooks you in is the headline. The thing that hooks you in is what they say, or the little summary of what people are going to be expecting to watch. And that's the same with your copy, especially when it comes to a sales page. You need to write. If you look at any of our pages, we direct and we pull out the person that we're going to be dealing with. Like the landing page for our report, it calls out coaches, consultants, and service business owners that are looking for more leads. And it tells them, the heading says, these are the 10 little known secrets to explode your service business with high ticket leads within the next 90 days. So the headline is essentially the ad to the rest of your ad. All right. It sells the rest of your copy that is going to come through. And ideally, it actually has to grab the prospect's attention, and it draws them into the rest of your sales message. And to do that, a headline has to be meaningful by literally tapping into your prospect's core beliefs. So it pays to really know who your target audience is, and to have a clarified message that resonates with that person. Because if you resonate with somebody's deepest aspirations and desires, then they automatically assume that you've got a solution to whatever problem they might be going through. And when it's done right, it will actually trigger a spark in that prospect's emotional core, because in as much as we would want to deny this, people buy from emotion more than they buy from a logical standpoint. And people are bombarded with marketing content out there. So if you're not speaking to them immediately in your headline, then you've lost them, because people only respond to marketing that speaks to them. And this is where the magic starts, because you've gotten somebody to jump in and say, hey, this is quite interesting. Let me jump on board and start working with this person or reading what they've got to say. And you now ignite a series of chain reactions that then transform, their unknowingness of who you are into hope to say, wait a minute, if this person can pick me out on a sea of Me Too, or I'm just sitting on this toilet scrolling through and they're literally talking to me, you take away that facade of doubt that they might have, and you start building confidence, and whatever fear they might have, you start putting it together into some sort of courage. Because when people are in a buying state or in a position to actually make a decision, guess what? You've actually put them in that state simply based on the words that you've used. So words have power. Words are powerful, and if they're used in the right way, man, you'd explode your service business with high-ticket leads, and eventually have a business that's profitable and enjoyable. So the headline is where you want to spend as much time on. And once it's really optimized, it will become an emotionally, like a lightning rod that draws people to your message and, gets people to, go into the next step. Now, the next step is to create what we call the lead, okay? Because every winning ad campaign is built upon the foundation of a big idea. Who are you and why should we care? All right. And what is it that you're bringing to the table? So this now becomes the promised benefit of what you're offering. And that's usually the first 150 to maybe 700 words after that headline. This is where you really drill in and start telling people why they should follow you, who you are, and why it actually matters for them to continuously read and learn from you. And the function of this lead stage is to restate the promise that you put out in the headline, okay? And then once you've restated the promise of the offer that you're putting out there, to really state who it's for and who it's not for. Because like I said earlier on, people want to read marketing that is directed at them. And once the headline has the prospect's attention, he or she might start wondering, is this for me or is this not meant for me? And it is at this point where these questions are being raised by your prospect that the lead up copy is now clarifying what your product or service is going to deliver. And if it's not made clear, the reader would actually be very confused, and a confused mind will always say no. And you want to be directing your leads towards your buyer's journey, and you don't want to start that journey with a confused mind, because a winning lead, obviously is what you want, somebody who's converted and convinced. And once you have a good lead up from the headline, you create rapport and you're starting to forge a connection with that person. And to help that process, and spend, you need to spend time creating bullet points that are just little bites of information that help people understand what it is that you're talking about in a nutshell. Okay, so when you're, now we've created the header, you've got your lead up to what you're, you want the person to understand about what you're offering. You need to just put a few bullet points, because you've gotten their attention, but give them a little bit more so that they don't walk away. So these bullets will be little concise, concise statements that offer glimpses of your offer, the benefits, but without really revealing what what exactly would be then obtained. So the focus of an effective bullet is to just arouse and to nurture that curiosity that you got from the headline already and from the lead. And a well-crafted bullet that will have elements of, well, obviously novelty, mystery, promise, and just vivid imagery. You're starting to paint a picture, because humans actually do think in pictures, and these little bullet points are driving them quickly to the next yes you're gonna get from this client. So they start stroking your prospect's imagination and make it clear and easy for them to move further. So at any given moment, you have to be getting a few yeses along the way. A few yeses along the way will then culminate into the bigger yes. All right. So we work with a lot of accountants mainly. So let's say you're writing for your accounting service and you want to introduce an exchange style sort of bullet, such as let's say you want people to invest 20 times 20 minutes with you before they've even known what it is that you want them to talk to. So you may be inviting people to a consultation. You could write, invest 20 minutes with me once and you save 20 hours a week for the rest of your life. Now, that statement in and of itself arouses curiosity. And the reader is asking questions in their head. How do you do that? And you're actually drawing a person further into your message, and they'll ultimately buy. Okay? So without a question, this is one of the most important pillars to spend your energy on. They're bullets, because you're drawing people in by whetting their appetite and their curiosity, drawing them into your message a whole lot more. So you want to spend as much time on this pillar as possible, because in part, when you create quality bullets, you actually force your client to keep reading, because it's just one line, and their curiosity keeps growing, and you're taking them in a thought process that you absolutely want them to do eventually, which is buying from you. All right. So you've drawn them in with the headline, you've presented them with the lead, and you've singled them out as the right target audience, and you've given them a few bullet points around what it is that you're offering them. The next port of call will be to write the actual body copy. All right. So this is now your broad sales argument, your story, all of the things that you want to let your customer know in order for them to then do the call to action that you're going to be putting out there. And your broad sales argument is what then constitutes this body copy, and which is often usually the least read part of a sales letter or a sales page, but it needs to be there. Most readers actually just skim through in an unconscious, attempt to just answer the internal question, what's in it for me? Why am I being drawn to this person's copy? So for this, you need to consider applying, unused, those bullet points that you spend time creating, the ones that you didn't use as the subhead, because before anything, the person will just keep reading the subheadings, and then those are the things that will then invite them to read more. So if you put out a good subheading, they'll read just that section that has effective subheadings. All right. So you want to break up the sales body into easy to read sections by using those unused subheads. And good subheads draw a reader into a nice sales message, and they encourage the prospect to actually glide from one section to the next, and you are literally channeling them towards the call to action that you want them to execute at the end of it. And as the prospect, engages with the body of your, your sales copy or whatever it is, a combination of pictures, promises, and social proof are some of the things that will also help you, convey the message, because a picture, says more, or like it says 1,000 words, and social proof is one of those things that just needs to be there so that people know that whoever they're going to be dealing with is not yet another wheel spinner, but somebody who actually has results out there. And if you interweave all of this with your unique selling proposition around your big idea, it actually then drives home the promise of the offer that you're putting across. And if done right, your body copy becomes a frictionless call to action. All right. So you want to be getting a few yeses along the way, and just weaving your story in there so that you can literally be converting the person before they've even finished reading your your copy there. You can actually make more money than many doctors and lawyers out there just by writing simple, converting sales copy, like the ones that you see from people that you are following, or from people that are actually doing well on the internet right now. Because let me tell you something, when you increase your writing skills, you're actually doing yourself a favor, because there's a lot of stuff on the internet there that is not being read just simply because it's not been written well. And your ability to start persuading via the written words, which is what you've just maybe learned how to do and what you're going to be consistently learning to do, is a skill that if you have it, will always be in high demand. We now live in the internet era where everything is either written or is either a video or podcast like this. If there's no sequence, or if there's no structure in the words that you're writing, then you will be obviously, spraying and praying and hoping that people will be, bidding a pathway to your door. Let me tell you something. Since the emergence of the internet, it has proven vital that the more you write, the closer you are to the pen, the closer you are to the bank. All right. So when you present your facts and opinions, people who actually will read them will be the people that will buy from you. And guess what? Your business will grow and your sales will go through the roof. All right. I really want you to, give yourself the gift of printing money by making sure that whatever words you're using on your copy and whatever words you're using on your information out there is actually designed to help you sell. All right. Use a lot of pictures. Like I said, your sales letters or your sales copy should not be just about your product or service, or what it does. Your customer just doesn't really care about that. Let me repeat, no one cares. What do they care about? They care about themselves. So if you're writing it in such a way that it draws them in and it gets them to ask questions, what's in it for me, you capitalize on this customer self-centeredness, and it now becomes your weapon. Because a lot of people are out there just writing stuff, putting stuff together, and there's no coherence in what they're putting out there. And if you put proof, it actually improves your sales. And, as we've spoken about in many other podcasts out there, credibility is how believable you are to a potential client. And if you do this, it's created through a combination of authority and social proof. So if you write well, you're already presented as somebody who's authoritative and who knows what they're talking about. And social proof, obviously, is other people that vouch for you. All right. So the core of every sales page or sales letter that you're going to be putting out there is your offer, the context of it, and the value that you're going to be giving to the person. All right. Your customer is always asking, you give me dash and I'll give you dash in return. All right. What is it that you are giving your audience that you're looking to serve there. Once you've done that, you've crafted your own conversion machine. A lot of coaches and consultants, they think getting clients is hard. But after you've heard this podcast, I guess you're going to think again. I really want you to go from mediocrity to start earning up to $2 million within the next 2 years, all right? And you'll be using systems like this it actually breaks every rule in the marketing playbook, because I don't want you to sacrifice your income doing what you love. Just write good copy, all right? Put pictures in there, put proof, and promise people that you are going to be able to help them. And with the words that actually sell, guess what? As you craft your marketing message, for client attraction or client getting, taking your customer on your hero's journey and making a case of why they should choose you over a sea of me too's out there would create a business that's profitable and enjoyable. I really want you to be successful. So if this is something that you're interested in and you want to know how else you can grow your business and compete with the big players, I want you to book a free consultation with me and discover how you can scale your service business from $200,000 to $2 million inside 2 years. I can't wait to celebrate your success and read your sales copy that can maybe convert me into a customer. Bye for now.
Thank you for joining us today. If you have any questions, let's continue the conversation in the Live Long Digital community. Become a Live Long Digital community member today. This community is for ambitious entrepreneurs and small business owners with the drive to take control of the future of their businesses and achieve huge success without stress and overwhelm. As you heard, Prosper can help you by teaching you marketing strategies that work. So look no further than the Live Long Digital community of entrepreneurs and highly successful business owners. Join our community today. Find us on www.community.livelongdigital.com.au. Network with other driven entrepreneurs and find the expert guidance you need to take your business to the next level. www.community.livelongdigital.com.au